Yeah, welcome back. And, yesterday, if you were sitting at home watching March Madness basketball, you jumped online and you suddenly start to see what in the world was unfolding over in the UK yesterday.
And we don't mean Kentucky by UK.
Yeah, anarchy on the streets of Britain yesterday. Unbelievable protests. Just take a look at your screen. People getting hit with all kinds of things. Police trying to protect this. Why? Yeah. Because they're slashing the conservative government there, attempting to slash $130 billion in government spending, and people took to the streets in massive protests.
Smashing windows, throwing paint bombs, ammonia-filled light bulbs, throwing all this at police. In addition to that, they were attacking a bank. They attacked the Nike Town store.
This is the biggest protest there in the UK since the Iraq War in 2003. Some say, and you see at the bottom of your screen, 250,000 people. The question we all have is, could we see this here in the United States? This is, again, as Clayton pointed out, over massive budget cuts. If you haven't heard, we have a huge budget problem here in the United States, and Republicans, some on the Tea Party side of things, want to cut $100 billion from our budget. So could we see similar protests here?
Let's talk about the scale, though, because obviously the United Kingdom, a much smaller country than the United States in GDP as well. And think about this, right? They wanted to cut welfare, health care, and they wanted to eliminate nearly 500,000 public sector jobs. 3,000 police officers in one town alone. Imagine that. Imagine
that is a quarter of the police service.
Here, if that happened, what would happen? And are we close to having that happen?
If you can't afford it, if you cannot afford it, then if you can't pay the salaries and you're going into debt, you have to do something.
Well, like in California, you had a news story just a little while ago, right?
The protests there. Yeah, they're protesting. The Teamsters are protesting, blocking that collective bargaining power. We saw that in Wisconsin. This is the protests in California. You know, it looks like it's under control, no violence. It looks completely different than what's happening in the UK. But the question is, are we heading down that road?
Well, it makes no sense to me, too, when you're smashing buildings of private companies. It has nothing to do with government protesting. You know, people just get outraged.
And you're going to cost the government more money with these protests. So we want to hear from you.
You're actually going to be paying for it as a taxpayer.
Absolutely, with tax dollars. So we want to hear from you. Friends at FoxNews.com. Get us all on Twitter as well. Do you think these type of protests will come here when we make the cuts that, again, we have to make here in the United States, just like they do in the UK?
And one final point.